Check it out, guys. 2019 Toyota Corolla Hatchback XSE. You're watching TFL's Unfiltered Buddy Review right now. On this episode, we're going to do a 0 to 60 on the car. We're going to go over all the really cool features, see how loud it is on the highway, see what the ride's like using our patented Hula Girl test. And at the very end, we're going to go ahead and give it a TFL rating of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it. But of course, I need a buddy. Mike will come in here.
With emphasis. How's it going, dude?
Good, it's going good. Good. So this is the car we're talking about today, the 2019 Toyota Corolla Hatchback. Let's start with the engine.
Yeah, let's get under the hood. We'll have Tommy open the hood for me, and I can get the latch myself. Under the hood is a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that makes 168 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. Now there's 2 transmission options available for the 2019 Corolla Hatch. The first is a CVT, which is pretty interesting, but this one is a 6-speed manual transmission sending power to the front wheels. So I think we're gonna have a little fun on today's drive, Tommy.
Yep. Michael, go ahead and close it up. So the Toyota Corolla Hatchback starts at just under $20,000. This one is pretty much loaded. It's the XSE trim level, which means it's the sporty version. Now, Michael, I think this car looks really good in blue flame, don't you?
Heck yeah, dude. It looks really awesome. I'm super excited. You know, a lot of people have been coming up to this car in the parking lot while we've been out here, talking to us about it, just saying, wow, this looks really cool.
And it's a Corolla, which has in the past been a pretty relatively conservative styled vehicle, not this XSE Corolla Hatch. Now, you've got what, full LED lights, right?
Full LED headlights, full LED taillights as well.
And that's standard.
Standard on every trim.
On every trim. And then on the front here, this is pretty interesting. There's not really a bumper, right? It's just kind of one whole fascia with this really big grille. But Michael, you pointed out that some of these slots here,
they filled it in a little bit, huh?
And you can even see that there's foam behind the filled-in section. So I'm wondering if that actually is the actual crash protection for the front end.
Yeah, but one other interesting thing up here at the front, of course, this Toyota logo is flush with the grille, right?
Yeah.
And that's because this comes standard with Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, which is a driver safety and enhancement suite that Toyota offers now on some of their vehicles. It includes things like adaptive cruise control, collision mitigation, lane keep assist, things like that are really cool to have as standard equipment.
Yeah, especially in a car that starts at under 20 grand. Okay, so let's come around to the side here. Big windshield, hatchback, nothing too crazy there. We got turn signals integrated into the mirror, and then in the back there is some other funky stuff. Why don't you tell about the weird and wonderful exhausts that's going on here?
Well, weird and wonderful are 2 nice ways to put it, but if you come down here, you can see that this Corolla Hatch has these little silver bits that are meant to look like they're exhaust, but really there's only one real exhaust, and it's kind of right up under there. I just think it's funny that they decided to put 2 fake exhaust tips on a car that has only one real exhaust. It's a little goofy. It's a trend we don't love to see these days.
Yeah, and then on the back here we see a resin hatch.
Yeah, so you can hear it, right? When you knock on this, it's made of a resin composite, whereas some of the other body panels are made of metal.
Yep.
This is to make it easy to form. It's kind of a goofy shape, but it's also strong and light.
Come on. Well, apparently... Come on. This is why it's real world.
There it goes.
There we go.
So it has 18 cubic feet, thereabouts, of storage space behind the second row of seats. But I think that's kind of weird. The spare tire is located under the back here. And it just looks to me like it takes up a lot of space. 18 cubic feet is not a bad number per se, but I feel like they could have maybe added in a little extra dish there.
Yeah.
Giving us a little more usability here in the hatchback.
I agree, and just to prove to you that it's, well, at least it's trying to be sporty, we've got dual spoilers. So we got one spoiler and then this big old one on top of it.
The big one on top is part of the XSE package. You still get the smaller, shorter one if you get the normal trim.
Okay, you jump on that side, I'll jump on this side, let's see the back seat.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well,
we're in.
We're in. It's not crazy spacious. I think headroom is a problem for both of us.
It's,
definitely for me.
Yeah, it's a little bit tight, but it's not actually too bad. I'm sitting behind my driving position.
Yeah.
And I actually do have enough space there for my knees. We also have, ready for this? Ready for this? 4 cup holders, two here,
one in each door, which I thought was super interesting.
Yeah, one in each door.
There's one right here as well. This backseat works. You could totally throw people back here. They'd be fine.
Yeah, especially, you know, I think 3 across would be a little bit tight, but 2 is fine.
Yeah, well, should we go for a drive?
Yeah, let's go for a drive. Let's do it. this is real world. There are 3 of us in here.
Exactly. And a lot of you guys, I'm sure, have already commented at this point that 168 horsepower is not the biggest horsepower figure in the world, but I think that's okay because the EPA says this should get some really good gas mileage. 28 in the city, 37 on the highway for 31 combined.
Yeah, that is really good. So this is a little bit quirky here. Typically in a manual transmission, I love to have a manual parking brake. This one has an electronic parking brake, which usually I hate, but check this out. So the parking brake's on, you know that because that red button is showing. Mm-hmm. And if I just go ahead and put it in first, not going to touch the parking brake, seatbelt on, and then slowly release the clutch. Look at that, it automatically disengages.
And you can see right here that the light is now off. So it turns itself off and on. We can show you that when we park again.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Usually I hate that. Now, this manual transmission, we have a little button here that says IMT. What does that button do?
It's for the intelligent manual transmission, which in this case does a couple of things. The first thing it does is, Toyota says at least, when you have that button pushed, it's really hard to stall this Corolla hatch. So they give you a little extra engine revs when you're starting. It's just a really forgiving clutch that makes it a little easier to drive. The other thing it does though, which is kind of fun, is rev matching your downshift. So if you're in third, you go down to second, you have the IMT button pushed, you don't have to rev the gas yourself, it'll do it on its own.
Now Michael, I see we have a pretty big infotainment display here.
Yeah, so this is an 8-inch infotainment display. It's Toyota's new Entune 3.0 system, and it does feature some cool smartphone connectivity, so you get Apple CarPlay and Amazon Alexa connectivity, but it's a sad day for me and all Android users because Toyota still does not offer Android Auto on the Corolla hatch.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is a little disappointing to me, to be frankly honest, but that's okay. I can get past that. It is a pretty good screen. Obviously the size is nice. It's very responsive. You can interact with it very easily. No issues there in my book, at least for now.
Yeah, I will say that this is probably the easiest gosh darn manual transmission I've ever driven.
I found it to be really easy to pick up. For someone who's learning how to drive a stick, this might be a really good car to learn on.
Okay, so real world 0 to 60 here onto the highway.
Come to a stop.
So on the brakes, let our performance timer reset here.
Wait for an opening.
Ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
I'm predicting something.
Traction control off. Into second.
Well, it's not the fastest time in the world.
Whoa!
60, 10.33. So, let's get this off here. 10.33 seconds. That's with 3 people in the car, up here at a mile above sea level.
Yep.
That was about the time I was expecting, I think.
It's not all that quick. I think it looks a little bit faster or quicker than it is. Do you want to do the noise test here?
Yeah, we'll do a little NVH test with our decibel meter.
Okay.
So we're hovering right around 62, 63 decibels, going about 60 miles an hour on the highway, which I think is pretty good. That's very quiet compared to even some of the nicer luxury vehicles we've been testing recently.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed. Now, I will tell you that other than this incredibly easy manual transmission, the car feels really well sorted, right?
It's very well put together, very solid feeling, and I think very comfortable too. Up here in the front seats, we have a lot more room than we did in the back. We're both tall guys. You're maybe an inch shorter than I am,
yeah.
Right? Thereabouts. But there's plenty of space. Everything is nice materials. It's some soft touch plastics on the dashboard. There is a lot of piano black finish, which I know a lot of you guys will not be a big fan of. But yeah, it's a really nicely made interior. You can tell the Toyota quality is there.
Do you want to go ahead and take off our little bracket here so we can start getting ready for our rough road test? Now, we also have automatic climate control in here, and I think they're actually dual zone, which is really cool.
It is dual zone, and the cool thing for me, Tommy, are these 2 buttons down here, because if you take a look at the temperature outside right now, it says 36 degrees, and you and I both have heated seats up here in the front.
Oh yeah, and they work pretty well.
They do work pretty well. They're really comfortable. The seats themselves, I love the design of them. They have a cool mix of leather, according to Toyota, and like a cloth material and some contrast stitching. So it has this white stitching here. They're very comfortable, and the heated seats work really, really well. So I'm very happy with the way this interior is laid out.
Oh, for sure. And we're coming up to our rough road here, and the ride is a little bit on the firm side.
Yeah.
We have 19-inch wheels on this XSE model, and
they're 18s.
We have 18-inch wheels on this XSE model, and you know they're certainly a little bit more aggressive in terms of the tire profile than you would get on a standard Corolla hatch. But here we go, we're coming up to our rough road, and our little hula girl.
We give her a rating, a dance rating of 1 to 10 to see how much we think she's dancing. And I don't think she's dancing all that much.
She's actually pretty...
She's staying pretty still. And I think that could be, Tommy, because this 2019 Corolla hatch now has McPherson strut front suspension and multi-link rear suspension. So they did a lot of work with the suspension to make the ride more comfortable and also make it handle a little bit better. And I think, well, what do you think for a dance rating?
Like a 3 out of 10?
3 or 4, I was going to say as well.
Really good.
That was really good for that stretch of road. So no complaints from me on the ride.
Other things that we can talk about in here that are definitely worth noting is the 7-inch cluster display.
Yeah, the multi-information display in the dashboard is huge. First of all, that's bigger than my phone. But it's also really clear, it's really easy to read, and it gives you all the information you need. You have our fuel economy trip computer on right now, but it's also, it shows the speedometer, the tach, and your fuel and cooling levels, right?
Yeah.
That stuff is all kind of traditional gauges, but the speed is its own thing, and you can cycle through and find all sorts of different menus.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of safety systems present, trip computers, what the radio's doing. Now watch this, this is cool. I've got my IMT on in 4th gear, down in a second, automatic rev match, and even up, ready?
Yeah.
3rd. It'll hold it. Oh, well, that was a bad example because I let off too slowly, but it'll actually go up too. So there's a downshift, and it'll hold for a second the upshift too.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I usually, I mean, I know a lot of guys, the enthusiasts, don't like automatic rev matching, but it actually is.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, and it works super well.
Not that I think there's going to be a lot of people taking their 2019 Corolla hatchback to the track. But if you did, it would actually maybe make your lap time a little bit faster. It's kind of a fun feature.
Well, or if you just, you know, enjoy driving on curvy roads.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to ring it out. No, there's not a ton of power below like 3,500 RPM.
No.
So you kind of got to ring it out.
There's not even a ton of power above 3,500 RPM.
No, but it kind of scuttles along a little bit quicker.
It doesn't leave me thinking, man, this is super slow. You know, it works. You get on the freeway, you can pass people without any problems.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we need to talk about the Safety Sense 2.0 that's standard in this car. For under 20 grand, you get collision avoidance, right? Frontal collision avoidance. You get lane departure warning.
And lane keep assist.
And lane keep assist.
Blind spot monitors.
Blind spot monitors.
Adaptive cruise control.
Adaptive cruise control for under 20 grand.
And adaptive headlights, or high beams. So if you have a car oncoming from the front, it'll turn the high beams off to make sure you're not blinding any oncoming drivers. And this is something that Toyota said they're going to be rolling out into a lot of their lineup coming up soon. So the new RAV4 will also have Toyota Safety Sense 2.0 as standard. But it's a really cool driver enhancement and safety suite. It's kind of one of those features that you really like to see in a new car, and Toyota's put it standard on a car that starts for under $20,000. It's amazing.
Now I want to try one thing now that we're back at our offices here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, we talked about how this car has IMT, which is supposed to make it more difficult to stall.
Yep.
So I've got IMT engaged. There's 3 of us in here, so there's a lot of weight in here.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and go into 1st gear. Not going to touch the throttle on a little bit of a hill, rolling backwards. Look at that, and just by slowly releasing the clutch, even on a hill with 3 people.
We're in gear.
What if I go, what if I do that transition a little bit quicker? So once again, no throttle. Yeah, it actually is maintaining RPM so you don't stall. But I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could probably.
If you just dumped it, yeah, it would probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can stall it still, but it is much more difficult to stall.
It's way harder, and I think this is something again that people who've been driving a manual transmission for a long time probably aren't going to need or want to use.
Right.
But for the people who are new to a manual, it's really helpful just to give you a little more confidence going out for the first time.
Now check this out, right? We've come to a stop.
Yep.
I've got my parking brake off. And I don't even have to turn it on. I take my seatbelt off.
Parking brake is on.
Shut the engine off. Parking brake turns on. I'm good to go.
That's awesome. Okay, did you know what time it is? It's time to give it a TFL rating of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it.
It's not hammer time?
No, it's not hammer time. No.
Well, on the TFL scale of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, I give the 2019 Corolla Hatchback a buy it. I really like this car, especially in this color, especially in the XSE trim with the manual transmission. It's got a lot of connectivity, got a lot of safety features, but they're not invasive.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to have to agree with the rating of buy it. I think this is an incredible value. You get lots of cool styling, lots of cool tech features, a really comfortable driving experience, excellent gas mileage, and this one, I think as tested, $25,125, which for that price, I'm like, yeah, take my money. This is a really awesome deal.
As always, guys, I'm Tommy.
And Mike.
We will see you guys back here right now for the latest and greatest in TFL Unfiltered Buddy Reviews.